Prey is the latest entrance to the now 35-year-old Predator series. Directed by Dan Trachtenberg, Prey establishes a unique stripped-back perspective that reimagines both the physical prowess of the Predator while also stimulating background psychological torment. This should not be a surprise as Trachtenberg has had both director credits for 10 Cloverfield Lane and Black Mirror. The new approach has led to an overwhelming appreciation from both the new and old fans of the franchise, reinvigorating the same notes and passions that accompanied the original. But what does this film do that the other installments have failed to capture across the years? It comes down to both surface level and deeper rooted elements of production. The first of these being, it works as a film. Prey just works as a film. It doesn't require the Predator to carry its reason to exist. It's just been the staple for every sequel since. Jim Thomas struck gold when creating the original that people knew would continue to make money, regardless to whether what was being produced held any quality or not. A pop culture icon that could easily be inputted knowing it will see some commercial success. However, Prey perfectly escapes the trope. Throughout the film, you could easily replace the Predator with another entity and the quality wouldn't suffer if done correctly. Trachtenberg achieved this through implementing a consistent representation that the beast can hunt, and scenes like this encapsulate it perfectly. The use of Calgary allowed for incredible shots and world building that makes this film so much more palatable instead of the consistent two-dimensional visuals we're used to seeing in the franchise. And the biggest strength this film has compared to its predecessors is real character investment. Amber Midthunder's portrayal of Naru actually engages the audience, creating a character you want to see win rather than expecting to, displaying her intelligence and skills while also relationship dynamics amongst the Comanche people, and especially her brother Tabe. Characters actually take on board the advice given and learn as the film progresses. A prime instance of this is Naru being told that the Kutamir isn't about hunting, instead about surviving.
You think the reason for Kutamir is to prove you can hunt? But there's only one reason. To survive.
While later on she flees rather than an insufferable fight that plot armor would have carried her through. Even basic filmmaking skills such as foreshadowing are implemented. Something so simple sets this film apart from others in the series and goes to show how downtrodden it has become over the years. Even so, it's implemented well with examples of Naru finding the French colonial's trap early on, or mocking comments to Tabe to not get his bowstring wet again.
I was waiting for it to circle back. Now you're gonna have to cross the river to get it. Don't get your bowstring wet.
Both of these instances see satisfying payoffs that only add to character development within the film. Secondly, it doesn't treat the audience like an idiot. At this point, everyone knows what's going to happen, regardless as to whether it's your first Predator movie you're seeing or not. The movie never tries to pad itself out or attempt a big reveal that would hold no real value to any member of the audience. Instead, it keeps you in the know very early on, with the shit being seen only 5 minutes in, and the Predator 10 minutes later. This works so well as it refreshes the viewers into the capabilities of the creature while also establishing a greater character attachment, as it acknowledges that you know more than they do, rather than pretending you're as much in the dark as them. Insight to the Predator allows its motivations to be fleshed out much more clearly, in scenes depicting it striking the animals after they attack, seeking to find the highest member of the food chain, and to put into place the grand theme of hunting, alongside great visuals and implication of its ability. It only humanises the initial encounter perfectly, with them thinking this is just another animal to hunt, for them to be completely bombarded with both technology and skills of the Predator. We knew this was coming, and it was only a matter of time before this confrontation happened. But rather than being the first time we see any of these abilities, we have a strong understanding and awareness to how these things are going to play out. This approach adds so much more tension to the scenario, as the more and more you see of the Predator, the more you realise they are no match, escalating the weight above that would otherwise be an underdeveloped fight scene. With the film being set in 1719, it's easy to dismiss that it would be obvious that the Predator would be a greater match for humans compared to the modern technology used in earlier installments, especially from the perspective of the Comanche tribe. They didn't have access to the weapons, such as flintlock weaponry that you see the French colonials wielding. However, regardless of this threat, the film utilises the tools at hand to create an engaging altercation, using wits and generational skills to combat the foe, and the key importance aforementioned of knowing when to run. It's not wrong to say the film does indulge in heavy plot armour and sometimes the ridiculous, but it never insults the audience to the point that Naru is hands down destroying her opponent in one-to-one fight too early on, instead representing the Predator as something that requires a large number of people to even cause damage and get close to it, employing the idea that Naru learns throughout the film and then implements all of this to hunt the Predator effectively at its own game, which yet still shows without the knowledge she would stand no chance. This was needed to give the franchise any weight or credibility again, as the whole point of the initial movie tried to set out how overwhelming and powerful the Predator was that required immense amount of skill and planning and grit to take down. This was missing and replaced instead by generic action set pieces that have been seen a million times in the most basic action sci-fi movies. The scene that perfectly lays out all the points I've made is Naru's encounter with a bear. Early on into the scene, there is the payoff of the foreshadowing, as it utilises the wet bowstring only to snowball into the Predator, destroying the bear. It encases everything right with the movie, whether that be character actions, amazing visuals, and well developed fight scenes. I've only picked at the bare bones of what this movie offers, and missed out many events that could be spoken about just as much, and themes that still hold weight today compared to the backdrop of 1719. 4 out of 5 stars, Letterboxd.